All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, very excited to be talking to an individual who's fighting Alexei Pergande at PFL Pittsburgh, which transpires on March the 28th. It's a stacked card, and the fact that this is one of the more intriguing fights on that event, I think, speaks volumes as Julio Arce readies to take on Pergande, and great having Julio on Bowks Talking Bouts today. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Chilling, excited, ready to go. Ready to get on the scale, make way, and then we have fun with this fight.
Yeah, and just what a road. I mean, signing with PFL after that viral VFL knockout, it seems like things fell very nicely into place. And then, fighting on such a, massive card, like seemingly one of the bigger events PFL has done so far. So, yeah, something to be said about the whole journey leading into this one, I would think.
Absolutely, absolutely. It just my manager says it. Dave Fish, he goes, trust the process in due time. I just kept fighting. I just kept my head up, just kept moving forward, help my teammates get ready for their fights, and then my opportunity was going to come in when you know when it was ready for it.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like the landscape and stuff like that. Just the idea of like staying ready because you don't necessarily know what the, I guess, options are going to be out there that are available to you. So, yeah, I mean, kudos to you for kind of, I guess, staying ready and I guess trusting that process. Was it like a thing that you had always kind of kept like a linear kind of composure throughout? Like, did it get frustrating at times at all? Or was it always like, oh, I'll invariably land in some sort of solid spot and kind of keep the train moving, as it were?
It's a bit of both. I mean, look, I guess there's always like after when going from the UFC to then the VFL to then into the PFL. There's a little bit of like a process where you just like you're kind of like a limbo state because you don't know. I didn't know if I was gonna re-sign with the UFC. I don't know if they were going to part ways. Like that's where there was a little bit of like a no communication. It was just like radio silence. So whether if I resigned, they'll be like, give me another fight. If I didn't resign, be like, cool, let me know. There was just that point of a couple of months where it's like, what's going on. But then once they go, hey, we're parting ways, I'm like, cool, thank you guys for everything. Boom, I moved on. VFL came in with a chance to fight at Times Square, which is great. And then at Terminal 5, two great fights. And then, my manager, Dave Fish, behind the scenes was just in talks with PFL and he was just making things happen. And then here we are.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it was mostly facilitated by the manager. Then I guess maybe like was it the VFL knockout that caught that traction that ultimately led you? I mean, obviously the UFC pedigree really translates a certain picture too, but I guess how much of that viral knockout served getting into the PFL here, if you happen to be privy to that piece, I suppose.
Honestly, I don't know if they caught to that, but all I'm saying is, hey, listen, if they did, awesome. If they
Yeah.
didn't, I mean, now they go like, now you have like a highlight right there. So regardless,
Mhm.
it happened the right way, and then I'm going with what you said, the fact that maybe they started like, all right, we got to get this guy in here. Like, cool, worked out.
Yeah, it just seems like you're an individual who's down to showcase their skills on whatever, platform is going to give them that, visibility piece and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, great card to do that on. Like I said, I mean, very stacked event. That Johnny Eblin versus Brian Battle main event
Yeah,
definitely getting a lot of attention for sure.
absolutely. That's gonna be a crazy fight.
Yeah, no, it seems like a landscape for, I guess, figuring out who could be, I guess, in contention for that, middleweight title. And I guess just speaks to the general depth of the whole situation there. So yeah, I guess just curious to get your thoughts on your opponent. Like I was kind of saying in the intro, an individual who has that, spotless ledger at this point has fought, singularly in the PFL along their pro journey, kind of got started there on the Challenger Series circuit. Like, what are your thoughts on Pergande's skill set and just what you've seen from him so far?
Listen, young athletic kid, um, and just the next tough task in front. I don't look past anybody. I know I'm gonna be his most experienced fight. So I know he's going to be ready to bring it, but I'm going to be ready to bring it back. So looking to get in there and just showcase, fight, and leave with my hand raised.
No, for sure. Do you have a certain, I guess, I mean, obviously you're singularly focused on this fight, but do you have a certain idea for like an ideal rate of activity you'd like to have this calendar year? I guess, presuming your contractual agreement with PFL is a multi fight deal.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully get, two more fights in this year. to at least, get three this year. And then, from there, we see what happens.
Yeah, no, for sure. And gotta, like, to our point, singularly kind of, focus on the task at hand and stuff like that. But I mean, you've had such a deep career. I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't touch back on some of the, past moments as much as we're looking towards the future and also trying to be present. I mean, fighting someone like Song Yadong in the UFC, and he recently had that fight with, Sean O'Malley and everything. Did you have any thoughts on that particular fight? All that.
It just, in my opinion, I thought Song took that fight. It was very close. It was very close. I thought Song took that fight, but again, it gets left in the judge's hands. Who knows? They might see a lot of people see it one way, then some people see it the other way. But I thought Song took that fight, and but I guess he's kind of back to the drawing board. But look, he's made it to he's what in the top 10. He's a beast.
Yeah, for sure. And then I guess like a fight that ultimately didn't come to fruition because of an injury piece, that Cody Garbrandt UFC 285 fight. I guess I bring that up to get your thoughts on his relatively recent UFC 326 win, snapping that two fight skid he had there and getting back in the win column.
I mean, in a way, good for him. It was just an awkward fight because with the low blows, and then it's kind of like, okay, I get he was pissed off of what happened because I mean that low blow. So if you had to puke, I mean that must have been difficult. And I know,
Mm-hmm.
like with the language barrier with his opponent, it was probably like communication was a little choppy. But then when you're pointing down to the ground, you want to fight, and all you do is yell at the guy. But then it's like there's no sense of urgency because he won because the other guy lost the points. But I think in reality, it would have been the other way around. So those kind of point deductions gave him the fight. I wish that fight would have happened. I think we would have had an amazing fight. But again, that's at 35. I moved up for a reason. I'm tired of those cuts.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I totally hear you on that one. I guess I'm curious where you're getting in that work at nowadays, because like I've always known you to get in that, Tiger Schulman work in New York. Is that predominantly where you're still kind of, honing the tools, as it were?
Yep, that's my main gym. And, I love that our coaches, Tiger Showman himself, they like, look, they'll take us to boxing gyms. They'll take us, we went to train with Polino Cruz, where Pilates trains. And, we do cross training. Outside guys come on to our gym. We go to their gym. And, like, we're just constantly elevating each other. That's it. And I still have, my teammates who are always there in the gym helping me just sharpen my tools. Because, listen, I might be the oldest one on the map, but this next generation coming up, everybody's good. So you still learning. I'm still constantly evolving.
Yeah, I feel like you're still in like that good pocket though, where maybe it's almost like a maturation, fight IQ kind of consideration, but still in like a good, athletic prime kind of pocket. Is that how you're kind of feeling heading into this one and segueing into PFL?
Exactly. I get to say that I've had a lot of longevity in this career, and you know, I I I love to put on great fights, but I also don't want to leave there. And then when it catches up to me, I'm slurring my words. You know what I mean? I'll entertain, but I'm gonna entertain my way where I win the fight, move on, and I can go right to the next one. There's the entertain. It's like you got to find that middle ground between a good fight, entertaining, but you got to be smart because in the long run, again, you don't want to barely be able to make a sentence or words or just kind of stuttering or just rambling. We want to be able to still talk normally, like how you and I are having a conversation, and continue our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess I'm tying a couple things together because you were, targeted to fight Daniel Santos. And I guess I'm tying this into like a mention within a Sure Dog feature, him being Charles Oliveira's teammate. And just kind of what you were talking about there, it started to make me think of that, I guess, discourse from Charles Oliveira's recent BMF title win. Like I talked to Brian Battle, for instance, and we were like, yeah, you know what? Like if it was any other fight, it would have been like a fine, entertaining fight, like a tactical performance. But something about the BMF tag kind of, puts that, I guess, entertainment era kind of rhetoric in there as well. But yeah, I mean, to your point, like the idea is to get out of there with your faculties and etc.
See, I see for the BMF. I was listening to this. I listened to a podcast about this, and they said, look, for a BMF title, it should be like, okay, you limit to maybe two takedowns during the round, and you get a minute to work. But it's a BMF title. You're expecting fireworks. That's why I think is so the BMF itself gives it that's like, yo, we're not going to the ground. We're gonna strike and we're gonna bang. So I guess if there's like a specific rule says, all right, if you take someone down, you have like a minute to make something happen. If not, you're right back up. This is a BMF fight. We're gonna just straight up fight. But listen, he did what he had to do to win. And I don't think he gives a crap about who says what. He's like, I won. I got a BMF belt. I got work to do right now.
Yeah, it's just interesting how much that specific title and like what it implies to a lot of people, how much it informs, I guess, the thoughts on, that performance. Because like I said, I feel like if it was like even like a UFC divisional title or just an outright main event with two big names, I feel like people would probably not have had the same kind of complaints or sentiment about the fight. I personally didn't, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's just the BMF belt that makes it that. Other than that, I'm like, listen, spectacular. You fought the smartest fight. You, you're like, I'm not gonna I'm gonna take you down, choke you out, control you, win a fight, leave there without a scratch. So if somebody drops down in the future for a title fight thing, you're ready to go.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And you were kind of mentioning the shift from bantamweight a bit earlier. Like, how much has that informed, I guess, just the general sense of wellness that you're feeling and even like that career elongation kind of piece? Like, you're talking about wanting to get out with your faculties and at a good time. But I would think switching weight categories would kind of elongate that timeline a bit.
Yeah, listen, it's rough. Again, I'm 36 years old, and yeah, could I make 35? Yes. Do I want to kill myself to make 45? I mean, 35? No. Because then as I'm getting older, it's going to affect how I perform. And then going in there where you just cut so much weight, like the recovery's not the same. As in, now I go 45, I feel great. And the cut, simple. I have Eric Pena helping me out. He does my nutrition really well. And, it makes the weight cut that much simpler. But again, I'm not killing myself to do that. So feel good. I feel like I got longevity. I feel fantastic, and I'm just ready to fight.
Yeah, no, it seems like you're in a good mood and are just, yeah, focused on putting on a, good performance. And yeah, I love to see that because sometimes with fighters with those tougher cuts, it's almost like they have that fight and then the actual fight. So yeah, love to see that.
Ready to throw down.
Yeah, and we're ready to see you throw down for sure, but also wanting to be cognizant and aware of the broader schedule you have, Julio, and everything. Just figured I'd give you the floor if maybe you had a final thought you wanted to add as we're wrapping up here, man. I do appreciate the time today.
One, thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me on your show. Listen, I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank everyone who just continues to support, from my team, Tiger Showmans, to all the people behind the scenes just continue support. My manager Dave Fish, my coaches, my teammates, my sisters, my family in Colombia. Everyone just continues support. And listen, I get to really say that I've done what very few have been able to accomplish. I got to fight in, two major promotions, and when you really look at it, less than 1% can do that. So I've done it all, and I go in there just ready to fight, ready to give it my all.
Yeah, and I think the fans really love you for that and have acknowledged that over the years. And yeah, this Alexei Pergande fight, definitely a very intriguing one to say the least. So super stoked for March 28th. And yeah, great to have you on the show ahead of PFL Pittsburgh. But yeah, you enjoy the rest of your day, man. And to reiterate again, thanks for the time.
Thank you so much, man. Have a great day.